Welcome to CityCast Denver. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Lindsay Dalton, co-owner of Weathervane Cafe. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we're going to be talking about the tipped minimum wage debate, the costs of running restaurants, cafes, bars, and whatnot. So let's just get into it. Lindsay, my first question is pretty simple. Are Denverites good tippers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was talking to Paul yesterday. It was like, I don't always look at all the transaction. I was like, gosh, yesterday was a great day because literally every transaction tipped. Like every customer added a tip. So at least in our place.
Is that common? Do you feel like that's common?
I'm not sure. I'm a good tipper. I'm friends with good tippers, and there's good tippers that come into my business. Do I think that there might be another group of people who don't tip? Yes. But I don't know. Our staff is like amazing, and also they've been there for a really long time. So I feel like that affects their tips. People don't not tip there. We also have like a lower price range. So like it makes it tipping more, I don't know. It doesn't feel like you're paying like $12 for a coffee once you add a tip.
Like you feel like Weathervane in general runs lower average cost than other coffee shops in Denver? Or
maybe not other coffee shops, but like you can
Okay.
get a sandwich for $12.50. We're like, sometimes it's hard to find a sandwich for less than $15 these days.
Sure. And I haven't been to Weathervane in a while. I don't remember. Do you all have an iPad that like swivels around and asks for a tip?
Yes.
Or like, what's the process like?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. We get their name in their order, and then we turn it around, and they are free to add a tip. They can select a pre-selected number, enter their own tip, or select no tip.
Can I ask when you do the pre-selected, because I see something different at every place. Do you guys do like percentage options or like $1, $2, $3? How do you do it?
I think it's called smart tipping on our POS system. They like if it's under $10, they'll give you like the option to tip $1 or $2. And then if it's over $10, it's like 15, 18, or 20%. But restaurants can change that and make that like 20, 25, 30 if they want to.
Okay. So do you think on average are people tipping 20% or $1 per drink, or where do you think that lands for Weathervane customers?
Ours lands between 18 and 20%. Sometimes it's lower, but I think it's like around that.
Okay. How do you feel about these new options and the tech that you're presented with as a business owner? I mean, it used to be you just threw a couple bucks in a tip jar if you wanted to, and now there's like, people physically interact a lot of times with your POS system directly. Like, how do you feel about that as a business owner?
Well, I don't feel like that is new. We've been in business since 2012, and we've always had this system. So, maybe it was new then.
Sure.
But it's not new in 2026.
Sure.
For me, it's like so easy because like all the math is done, and like I don't have to. When I'm a customer, like I just push a button and it's easy.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I do. If I have cash, I also tip like in cash because cash is king.
Do you guys get a lot of cash?
We don't.
Okay. Yeah, I figured that. I mean, it's like if I have it, I'll use it, but it's rare if I have it and I don't. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know why I have it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, where is this money from? And I have to get rid of it, or like it's going to something horrible is going to happen to it. Like it's so mysterious.
It's going to fly out of my purse or something. I don't know.
Yes, I can't be trusted with money, real money, like
cash money. So something else. There's this other piece of this conversation that people really focus on, especially in Denver in the last couple of years, is this. The idea of the extra fee. Sometimes it's a service fee. It's got different names depending on where you go.
Yeah.
Weathervane has one of these. It's a 2% charge called an operational offset fee. What is that about?
We implemented it when eggs were really, really expensive. And so like a lot of our prices were going up like sometimes weekly. And it just felt out of control and like too much to like, I didn't know honestly what to do at that point to address it. So I was like, we're just going to like put this like 2% offset fee. And it's not going to just cover the cost of eggs. It's going to cover like all of these crazy expenses that are somehow now so different than they were just a few years ago. Like as a business, our operational fees are really unpredictable. Like I was telling Paul we bought a panini maker in 2024, and then we had to buy a new one just last month. In 2024, it was $750. And this time around purchasing it, it was $1,100. So like there are so many things that we have to offset that it's just like we could build them into our menu price, absolutely. But it was just kind of like it's just like this cushion that we have that helps us offset these costs. And I was like kind of trying to come up with some other examples too. Like we use Holy Cacao syrup, which is amazing. A lot of shops use it. And that has gone up in price since we started using them. It used to be $106 for a case, and now it's $150. It's not because they're being greedy. They're also a small business that's also having these extraneous costs. Like literally everything costs more. And even our milk, we use local dairy from Royal Crest.
Ooh.
Right now we pay like $5.61. A few years ago it was $4.35. So it's just it's runaway inflation.
This episode is brought to you by Cozy Earth. Mother's Day is coming up. Maybe you know a mom or a stepmom or a dog mom, or you have a work mom or a mother who you want to celebrate. So why not get them something cozy, like one of Cozy Earth's premium bathrobes? I know what you're thinking. Bathrobes and candles are like standard fare for us mom types. But let me tell you about this robe. It rules. Its pockets are big enough for your hands and a phone, and in my case, maybe a small monster truck that I've picked up off the floor right before stepping on it. It's truly a utility robe. They come in a variety of weights and fabrics: plush, quilted, waffle, or stretch knit. I have the luxe robe, and I've washed it a few times already, and it stayed plush. Paired with my Cozy Earth slippers, which are now my go-to house shoes that I pretty much wear all day, every day, I found 2 more Cozy Earth things that I can't stop talking about. Let this Mother's Day be a reminder that moms deserve care too. Discover how Cozy Earth turns everyday routines into moments of softness and ease. Head to CozyEarth.com and use our code CozyDenver for an exclusive 20% off. And if you see a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here on CityCast Denver. So you kind of mentioned this, you don't build it into the menu price, but I wonder why not just build it into the price? I mean, I think some people feel really strongly about this, like they'd happily pay for all these nice things you're talking about. What's the difference between building it into your menu and just putting an extra cost onto the receipt, I guess?
Absolutely. And we do that as well.
Okay.
To be honest. So like we do have to increase our prices, but I don't really have an answer for that. We just add it to our costs. It might go away at some point. Like if we do raise our menu prices up even higher. But yeah, I don't really have an answer of like, why don't we just do that one thing? I'm not going to like lie and say that I do.
Sure. No, I'm just curious because just for instance, like I go to Vin Sung Bakery, which is right by my house, and they have like probably the most affordable banh mi I can find in the city. And I asked their owner about it once.
They're so good.
They're so good. But I said, do you guys ever think about raising the price? And they have over the last couple of years. But he's like, I raised it by 25 cents and people freaked out. So he's like, I really have to balance how we do this because we don't want to lose customers, so. Yeah,
it's always a concern. In fact, every time like we do a small menu, like price increase, I'm always like, it was such a small amount of like raising it. Cause I also feel like that is going to like upset people and I don't want to upset people.
Sure.
And I feel like sometimes like they can understand, like it's just like all mental too. It's like, well, they can understand that like operation costs like are out of control. And like that fee might only appear as like a 17-cent charge. And so that's like sometimes easier to wrap your mind around than like paying an extra whatever for a latte. Do you know what I mean?
I totally do.
Like it's
a psychological question along with the realities of a business and how how your customers relate to you. And I'm super interested in your business in general, but also because in part in this moment, you're on this growing list of like 20 to 30 coffee shops and restaurants in Denver that are opposing these rumored changes to the city's tipped minimum wage. Can you explain to our listeners what's going on?
Absolutely. So, in 2019, our city voted to increase minimum wages. And then our minimum wage is tied directly to inflation. But at some point, people started saying, well, this is just too much. And it became a bill. I don't know who sponsored it, but it was a bill last year in 2025, and they did pass it. Instead of lowering the wages themselves, they passed this incredible task on to city councils. So city council in anybody who has above, I think, the Colorado tipped minimum wage has the right to lower it back down. But the way that they say that is that they have the right to increase their tipped minimum wage credit. So basically right now, people are getting paid $16.27 an hour to work tipped minimum wage. And then, workers collect tips on that, and it has to go over $19.29 an hour or $19.30 an hour for them to not have to pay their employees the full wage. So it's already a discounted wage. But right now this is back in discussion now that it's been placed with City Council. Darrell Watson, I think, is discussing a potential bill. It was supposed to be introduced the last week of March, and we haven't really seen anything yet. But they would like to lower the tipped minimum wage from $16.27 to $12.12 an hour. And we say no way, because first of all, as a city, we voted on this. And the way I see it, that's like a direct subversion of the will of the people. Like, why wouldn't this go back on the ballot? Well, because the state representatives and now the city council have the power to overturn our vote, essentially. And yes, we could, as a restaurant, just keep paying our employees what we pay them and not worry about what other restaurants are doing. But we have a pretty deep concern about how this would affect our local economy. Like, that's $4 less an hour. That's tens of thousands of workers will be getting paid $4 less an hour. That industry people not only are the backbones of our business, but they are also some of our biggest supporters. So when there's that much less money in the economy is going to really slow down. And I think it might just end up being a total wash. Just it's fine. We're paying all these people less, but then your customer base is affected by this.
And I do just want to be clear. We also reached out to Councilman Watson's office. We haven't heard back yet, so we don't actually know any details about the reform that he's thinking about. None of this is on the table so far yet for City Council. So I just want folks to know, this is a conversation that's been happening, but like you said, nothing's been introduced to City Council yet so far.
Right. But he did announce that is what he is working on, specifically lowering the wage to $12.12.
So what would you...
he kind of gave everyone's a heads up.
Sure. So what would you and other restaurants like you on this list be calling for? What would you want? What do you want exactly?
If we could just maintain the wages that we voted for in 2019, that would be great. I want to show City Council how much opposition there is to this, that this bill just never comes to the table. It's also important to say that the reason that Darrell Watson is bringing this up is because there was a release from Dido. They put their name on this. There was a restaurant liaison report, and Dido sent out an email, and there was a press release and everything with this state of restaurant situation. And it's really important to say that the people who authored this report, Dana Falk-Curie and Adam Schlegel, they own Big F Restaurant Group and Snooze and Chook. They are authoring this report, and they would directly benefit from this policy change if they were to lower the wages. They would financially benefit from this policy. And I think that's just incredibly fraudulent that they would be in charge of this. I think it should be a third party. I think it should not be restaurant owners at all, possibly economics, social scientists. It's just deeply concerning to me. And from what we have heard from the Denver City Auditor's Office, these numbers are deeply flawed.
And I will say some business owners say that the rising tipped minimum wage has put a strain on their business. What do you say to those business owners?
Well, in 2023, and the city is going to work on updating this report to 2026, there was actually a local minimum wage report because since this change happened in 2019, they had a local minimum wage report done in 2023 to see if that exact thing was happening. And it was not in 2023. So I personally, as a business owner, and we're extremely small, you know, I don't feel like we are in a crisis. Yes, our bottom line is deeply affected by inflation. Um, but like last month was October was our busiest month, and then March was like our second to that. So um, I don't feel like we're having an issue with customers coming in or the volume of business that we're doing. It's inflation. It's not minimum wage. And like we have this wage report that was done in 2023, and I'm hoping to see another one, and I would love for it to be done by a third party.
And so I just want to ask from like an operational side, does Weathervane have separate front of house and back of house? Because that's a big part of this
We do
conversation
not.
too. Okay. So
Exactly.
you're just front of
So
house.
yeah.
Okay.
So we don't have that issue, and I know that is a sticking point for a lot of restaurants. They could, and I consulted like a lot of other restaurant groups that are in um, our coalition of restaurants. So like Velvet Lasso, Sapsua, MacFam, they are paying everyone in their restaurant the regular minimum wage. So they'll be $19.30 an hour. And then when they do that, they can pool tips with everybody.
Okay. So they pool tips with everybody. And I guess I should be clear for folks.
Yes.
Tipped minimum wage can vary. Like front of house staff generally is the staff that gets tips. Back of house often does not get tips. They just get whatever their hourly wage is.
And there's ways to like work around that. Like you could develop, like people need to be creative, right? Be creative and flexible in the system that we're living in. There's ways to work around that. I think that like you could have a restaurant concept where the people who are cooking also interact with guests. Be like, hey, I'm your chef tonight. How was everything? Once they have that guest interaction, that makes them eligible to receive tips. So they can get creative with their concepts and pool tips and have everybody at tip minimum wage if they're doing something like that. So that's an idea.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just thinking about.
Like I said, we don't really have that front of house, back of house division, but a lot of restaurants do, and they are being creative. And also just, I think that the most equitable thing to do when you have a full service restaurant is to pay everyone the regular minimum wage and then do tip sharing with your whole staff.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking about like Denverites who might like a more traditional first full service restaurant and not necessarily like the chef counter experience. And the front of house, back of house piece is just really interesting to me because being someone who was a server, it was always the lines were very clear who was at the front and who was at the back. And, that can cross cultural lines, that can cross socioeconomic lines, that it's just very, I don't know. It says something about the tipped idea versus the hourly wage idea. And I just think it gets a little more complicated there.
I mean, yeah. And tipping itself is extremely complicated and nuanced, and it has absolutely like a terrible history. It's not like a perfect system.
Do you think you would ever go to just like a flat wage for your workers? Because that's one thing that's been brought up is like, why do we even have tipping anymore? Why don't we just pay everybody, a flat?
I don't think people can handle the sticker shock.
Oh, you mean like the customer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if we eliminated tipping.
Yeah.
And then everything just cost 20% more, I don't think people could handle it. But because I think there's this like psychology of choice,
Yeah.
Which is incredibly problematic. It's like in an ideal world, I would love to just have, you don't tip, we pay our employees like $25 an hour.
But I feel like probably your employees, you do a tip pool, right? Is that how you guys do it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's part of the reason you do that kind of job is the sort of the gamble of a good day of tips.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like a huge, huge part of their income. Like it's incredibly important. interviewed with Daryl Watson's staff member, Clark Dwight, and he was like, "What are tips? Can you explain to me like what they mean? Like, is it like a bonus?" Like, no, it's like almost like half of your wage is tips. So it's deeply concerning that people that are making policies like this are like actually so out of touch with what it means to be a tipped worker.
So you mentioned this report earlier that came out about the state of the restaurant industry here in Denver.
Right.
And this
Hmm.
report kind of said that this current law, the way that the tips are going, is causing restaurants to close, which could mean as many as 15,000 lost jobs. Do you think it's better for the tipped minimum wage to be higher, or there potentially to be fewer jobs?
Um, I'm not sure that it would result in fewer jobs, right? Yeah, and I don't think that they can say that either. Like I said, this report is incredibly flawed. And their numbers aren't right. Restaurants aren't closing at that rate. In fact, more restaurants are opening than they are closing. And that's kind of always been that way. It's an incredibly hard industry. Like, it's hard to keep a restaurant open. Not everybody can do it. Concepts fail all the time. I don't think that they're being affected by tipped minimum wages. I mean, it's obviously a piece of the puzzle, but it's such a big puzzle and it's such a small piece. It's like, why? I just keep coming back to this idea. It's like there's so many other nuanced issues affecting people's bottom line. Why would make the lowest paid people in your business and in our economy offset that price for you? And it's also taking the money in the economy and just putting it in the hands of a few operators instead of the hands of many. And I think, yeah, I just think it's just like feels like a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
And nothing good happens from that. Nothing good happens from that. When our bar gets lowered until like it's in hell, like nothing good comes from that.
You mentioned the report, and I think you're kind of alluding to this about like how it's flawed. But could you've mentioned that it's flawed. What else did you see in this report that you don't feel as a business owner in the hospitality industry was represented?
It doesn't take into effect all the tipped workers. So full service restaurants is a really, really small portion of tipped workers. Tipped workers are barbers, hairstylists, counter people, people making sandwiches, like brewery hosts. Uh, it's such a big group of people. And this restaurant report is only talking about one small group of people. This is somebody I would love for you guys to get Matt, the Denver City Auditor, back on air about, because he is an expert. He's not an advocate either way. He just has the answers to these questions that I think incredibly disprove this wage report.
We should have the auditor on again. I mean, that office has been on fire covering all sorts of labor issues and has had some really interesting reports. But yeah, I just think that this report was really interesting. It's something that we've been talking about, especially post COVID, how the service industry is dealing with the current economic conditions. So there's a lot at play here. I guess any last thoughts or anything that you want to share about being a business owner in Denver right now?
I feel good about being a business owner in Denver, honestly. I feel like we have like really great support from our community. Our staff is incredible. Like, we are here because our customers come to our business every day. And like, yeah, we have people come sometimes for breakfast and lunch. And like, I feel like they wouldn't be doing that unless our staff was amazing. And I don't feel like we'd have an amazing staff if people were getting paid less, because I don't want people that are working in my business to worry about like paying rent or paying their car off. I think just like the fact that we're having this conversation is inherently saying that some people make too much money. And those some people are the lowest paid people in our economy. It's incredibly concerning that this is happening. Yeah, and I don't feel, as a business owner, I'm not looking for anyone to save us. Like, I rely on my creativity and my flexibility to fuel my business and keep adapting to the changing times. I don't think everyone's willing to do that.
I think that's a really nice place to end. Lindsay, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on the show
you.
and sharing your perspective.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Oh, I have to come see you. I haven't been to Weather Vane in a while, but it's such a cozy, lovely place.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell Dwight Clark and Councilman Watson's office about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe to our morning newsletter at denver.citycast.fm. And hey, thanks to our new neighbor Heidi C., who just joined our membership program. You can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See ya!